So, some of y'all have seen this video.
A great talk with David Dobrik.
Oh, good. Oh, there's a little Steve back there. And I know some of you guys are getting excited because Camille Vasquez returns, and some of you guys are also like really disappointed. Now, before we get into all of that, let's just talk about why David Dobrik. David Dobrik is a YouTuber, which you may or may not know about, but if you don't know about him, a lot of people refer to him and his crew of friends as David Dobrik and his crew of crackhead friends. And when I say crackhead friends, I don't mean literally. They just mean metaphorically, because they do things like pranks, or they'll have someone being blindfolded and then covered in like their deepest, darkest fears, like snakes, insects, and crazy stuff like that. Reminds me of Jackass or like Fear Factor mixed together, but with a bunch of group of friends that are having fun together. David Dobrik is also really well known for giving away Teslas, cars, monies to friends, to families, and to students as well, or random people that he sees in like iPads and stuff like that. And once in a while, I think they would start doing some stunts and other things that were deemed as dangerous. For example, I remember they would do some dry ice stuff where it would like explode, and then they would have like a flamethrower gun inside of a house, and just a lot of really crazy things. And I just remember I felt so bad for the house that he was living in, because that house was just going through a lot. Now, there were times where his group of friends might have gotten hurt and have to go to the hospital. You know, I always thought that they had a team of medical staff on hand just in case anything were to happen, or at least some sort of supervision, but I thought wrong. So David Dobrik and his crew, they were doing pretty well with their videos. Of course, 2020 happened. In 2020, you guys all know, pandemic happened, things were shutting down. We had to isolate from ourselves. Not from ourselves. We had to isolate from other people, friends, families, and things like that. And so things were kind of quiet for a bit, and not a lot was going on. On June 30th, 2020, Jeff made this post about how he got into an accident. But at this point, they haven't revealed what happened. They wanted to keep it under wraps. Within less than a year, Jeff decides to break his silence, and he makes I think like a 5 to 6 part documentary about what happened to his eye. Now, I've only seen about 4 episodes so far. I got to still finish the rest, but so far it's actually pretty good. I did enjoy it. It's super short. It's not like the long Kanye West one. I think each episode is about like 8-10 minutes long. So super short. Definitely check it out if you want to. In this documentary, well, it's revealed that David Dobrik was involved. So let's get into how this happened and why. I believe sometime in June of 2020 is when David Dobrik wanted to do a comeback vlog. And in this vlog, he was going to have his friends do some crazy stuff like skydiving. They were going to rent an excavator and do some crazy stuff as well. And the incident would happen on the excavator. And if you don't know what an excavator is, I'll just show you a picture of it. It's like one of those like things where you can like shovel dirt and things like that, usually used for like construction. But yeah, at some point, Jeff Wittek gets on the excavator. He's like tied onto a rope, and they start swinging around. Initially, it starts going a little bit slow. And at some point, David Dobrik decides to pick up speed. And when he realizes that his friend was shouting and was going a little too fast, David Dobrik abruptly stops the excavators from swinging. So, you know, when you're going swinging at really high speeds and you're stopping abruptly, what's going to happen? Well, Jeff, he smashes into the excavator, and he ends up having I believe it was like a broken foot. I think he shattered his like hip somewhere. His eye was damaged, and he actually shattered his skull in, I think it was like 9 places. So apparently people who saw the unfiltered version of his photos, they say it was pretty gory. I haven't seen it yet because you have to pay for his Patreon in order to see it, but maybe I'll pay for it at some point. What a lot of people thought was a little bit mind-boggling was, why was there no medic on standby? How are they doing these crazy stunts and not having health professionals on standby just in case anything were to happen? And then also, where was this company that was renting out the excavator to them? Was this a company that rented out excavators so they can do some like silly stunts like that? Or was it just a company that just rents out excavators just to rent excavators and they don't care what you do with it? I don't know. That seems a little bit crazy to me. Anyways, this is a life-changing thing that happened to Jeff, and according to this post right here, he had about 9 surgeries and he had to do 1 more. And this was in February 6th of 2022. And it's actually pretty sad. If you watch his documentary, he talks about how he needed to gain weight. The doctor said that he needed to gain some fat in order to have the surgery. And this was during a time where people didn't know what was going on, and he was being criticized online for having his face look kind of messed up and for gaining weight. People said that, you know, his face was messed up because he was doing some Botox, and that he was losing weight, and that he wasn't looking as attractive. Just some really messed up stuff. Now, we don't see the animosity between the two until February 25th, where Jeff Wittek posted a podcast titled Dear David. And in this podcast, he revealed that David Dobrik did not reach out to him after the surgery.
It felt good to hit that unfollow button. You know, I woke up from surgery, and a day goes by, no text from him. Another day goes by, no text.
A couple weeks after that, on March 8th, David Dobrik, on his Views podcast titled Discussing What Happens, he tells his side of the story.
Natalie has asked multiple times, like, loop us into all these surgeries, and we're just not getting looped into anything. And then we're blindsided when he goes to another surgery, and then he'll like come out and be like his most recent surgery, I didn't know that he had a surgery until he unfollowed me on Instagram. And that's because,
Bro,
it's a two-way street.
I posted a week before the surgery. I was getting surgery. I posted the day of surgery. I posted everything. I see you're active on Instagram, liking other people's Instagram posts, but you never wanted to associate with this accident. You wanted to sweep it under the rug. You never wanted to promote. I came by to bring my hair products. You never promoted them. Thank God, because your hair's all falling out. But it's not even the point. I don't even want to joke around right now because I'm pissed off.
And then the day afterwards, on March 9th, Jeff Wittek replies on his podcast, and he's basically reacting to David Dobrik's podcast. He said that he was invited to go on the podcast, but at this point, he didn't want to be on David Dobrik's podcast. He didn't even want to see him. It seems that at this point, he was just over the friendship.
That's it. That's what I asked, is for you not to tell people this was my idea. Not to tell people that I'm a fucking, like, I deserve to get hurt like this. I didn't want you to frame it like that, which is what you're doing right now.
Jeff discusses about how his hospital bills were not being paid on time. That was something that they agreed on. David Dobrik was going to pay for all the hospital bills. Jeff mentions that his credit was suffering because the bills weren't paid on time.
To pay the hospital bills, right? But his assistant hasn't reached back out.
Bro, Ivan is the most efficient assistant in the world. He used to work for president of a major film studio. This guy is like, what the hell's going on? Nobody responds. He's on it every single day. He's the one who brought it to my attention that there's an infraction on my credit because they won't respond. Ivan said, do we have to go to litigation with this insurance company? Natalie goes, oh, are you suing us now? If you fucking pay attention to the emails, Ivan's on it every single day.
And that he just felt like David Dobrik was just moving on with his life and didn't really care about Jeff at this point.
I look at his Instagram because it's the first one that always fucking pops up, his algorithm or whatever, and it's just him like, oh, I'm so happy with my life right now, my vlogs and everything.
Like, I can see from Jeff's perspective, like, it's probably really tough when he sees my videos and I'm like traveling the world and I'm having this like fucking time of my life, and it's like,
And he's getting his eye cracked open.
yeah, and it's like,
And Jeff was just being left with, having this like life-altering injury that happened to him, and he's going to have to get surgeries for the rest of his life. He's going to have to see doctors, maybe be on like medicine and things like that. And so it seems really messed up.
I needed time to process what happened to me. It's a like lifelong injury that I didn't even realize at first. Like, I'll be getting eye surgeries once, twice a year till I'm 80.
Although it seems like from David Dobrik's perspective, he expressed that he was already taking like 90 to 100% of the blame, and he was okay with that. However, he did express that he was taking way more blame than he should have.
I feel like I can take 80% of the responsibility, 90%, 100% of the responsibility for the accident, whatever he needs me to do. But that, then when it gets to the point where it started to feel like I was taking 150% of the responsibility, I started to see things like David forced his friend up there, like all this kind of stuff, like that was just fucking insane. And it like felt like people thought I like literally sent him up there just so he can fucking swing off this thing.
Right.
Like that was not the case. And like,
he was taking about 150% of the blame when he felt like, yes, he was the one that was driving the excavator. Jeff Wittek was the one, according to David, said it was Jeff Wittek's idea and Jeff was the one who wanted to do it.
like 15 minutes before the accident, that somebody posted and he said, let's recreate this. And it was a guy swinging from an excavator and flying off. I didn't see that DM till the hospital. And he jokes. He's like, I didn't mean literally, haha, like he joked.
However, in response, Jeff Wittek was like, well, I didn't want to go that fast. I wanted to do the stunt, but you going that fast, that completely crossed the line.
You knew exactly how fast you were going to spin me. The first time I got on it, we agreed to do a little bullshit spin. Not a spin, a swing. Same thing as Corinna did, but the rope started falling down. And then you wanted to fucking whip it like that, and I screamed for my life, and that's the one mistake I made, was putting my life in someone else's hands, in your hands.
A couple months later, on June 21st, 2022, Jeff Wittek was like, you know what? F this. Let the courts decide. Jeff Wittek filed a civil complaint against David Dobrik and is planning to sue him for $10 million. According to this online magazine, it says that Wittek, 32, accused Dobrik, 25, of general negligence and intentional tort. So, that viral video of the TikTok where Ben Chu tells Camille Vasquez that he had a great talk with David Dobrik? Well, this was before the lawsuit was filed. So I wonder if, David Dobrik already had that feeling that a lawsuit was going to be filed against him, or maybe it's for something completely different. Because isn't there like attorney-client privileges? So if they were trying to hire Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez as like the lawyer, isn't Ben not supposed to say that? Especially knowing if there's like cameras nearby or something. So yeah, I don't know. That's why I think it could be for something else. I know a lot of people are making speculations on internet about Camille Vasquez being a lawyer for David Dobrik. We don't really actually know that, and we're not going to find out until whenever they show up for trial or for court or for hearings, things like that. So we don't know who's going to be the lawyer for David Dobrik yet, but we will see. Okay, that's Steve in the background. But we will see.